Hi, my name is Mrs. Bergen. I work in the Reading Center at Whitman Post Elementary School, and I'm going to read chapter 37. Evan. How Evan felt that night. Number one, confused. Number two, very confused. When the mosquitoes came out, he and his father abandoned the rock of truth, which Evan didn't mind one bit. He'd had enough truth for one day. They moved into the kitchen where his mom had left them some soup, along with a note explaining that she'd gone on a house call to restart someone's router. Evan's father was H.G. Higgins, the famous writer. His dad had explained. He made up the name when he was a teenager. He had taken out how to write a mystery novel and read it. And he started writing. He'd done it, gotten it published, gotten famous. Why don't you want anyone to know? Evan asked. A few people know. Jonathan O'Neill, for one. He's the one who gave me your letter. Oh, that was what Evan had seen after the bus trip to Grantville. Mr. O'Neill had handed over Evan's letter. That was the paperwork. But mostly, I just like to be private, I guess. I like my little office in the cellar. I like being here with you guys in the house where I grew up. I don't want book tours and interviews and all that. Does this mean we're rich? His dad smiled. We have some money. But what about the mice? What about them? I mean, what's the mystery there? His dad shrugged. All country towns have mice. I keep driving them over the hill and hoping they'd stay put so that some other guy doesn't kill them. But why? Why are you trying to save them? No big mystery. I have a soft spot for mice since I was a kid. They were both quiet for a minute, and then Evan said, How rich are we exactly? The soup on top of the whole long day made Evan sleepy. Though it was officially too early for sleep, he dropped into bed anyway, still wearing his button down graduation shirt. His mind was bouncing. He'd been right. H.G. Higgins had lived in Martinville, but Evan still had no idea who set the library on fire. After a few minutes, he sat up, found the mystery keys in his backpack, and ran back downstairs in his socks. He needed to check something. From the kitchen, he could hear his dad typing away, as usual, in the cellar. Oh, maybe it had been silly to believe that an exterminator had that many emails to answer. But who really thought about the actual things the parents did for work? Evan left the house quietly through the kitchen door and tried not to crunch too loudly on the gravel. Ouch, no shoes. As he walked past his father's cellar office window and around to the front of the house, he fit the second key, the bigger one, into their front door and turned the knob. The door swung open. He stepped inside and closed it behind him. One more fact confirmed. These had been his dad's keys a long time ago. Evan leaned against the door and listened to the faint sound of his father's keyboard tapping. He closed his eyes and imagined his dad, just as a kid, walking to the library with these keys in his front pocket. That's when he remembered the book, the other book. Back in his room, Evan got down on the rug and felt around under his bed until the fingers found it, the falling apart book with the taped up cover. He looked at the dates on the circulation card and did the math in his head. His father had read this book at least twice a year, every year, starting the summer he was 8, until the year the library burned down. Without even getting up from the floor, Evan opened his father's library book and started to read it. It was about a mouse. And suddenly Evan understood. His father's soft spot for mice had started right here with the book in his hands. Everything went back to the library. His dad deserved justice. His dad deserved to be able to talk to people in town without feeling like they were suspicious of him. Evan had been pretty good at this detective thing so far. What were the chances of finding a set of keys in his own of finding a set of keys his own father had dropped 20 years ago? Not even Mr. O'Neill could find an equation for that. Evan pictured the keys waiting in the dirt in the middle of all those thorny weeds. He thought of the cat standing above them, not budging until Evan picked them up. Did the cat know something? He couldn't exactly ask him, but maybe he could ask his owner. Evan sat up, not tired anymore. He put down the book and reached for his sneakers.